Hello friends, you've stumbled across a short clip from the Daily Switch 2 podcast, which, believe it or not, is a podcast that is about the Switch 2 with new episodes released daily. What will they think of next? One of the most negative things that I've been talking about, and one of the things that I've talked about at the most, at length, for the most times, for the most episodes, for the most videos, and also my episodes and videos that have got the most listeners and the most views, is me talking about my opinions on the game key cards, on the 64 gigabyte card limits, and how these decisions that Nintendo are making are unnecessary and actively hurting third-party devs, and especially indie game developers who make smaller experiences that they want to sell for cheaper, like retro-style indie games that were abundant on the Switch 1, and you could buy, for example, something like Turtle Shredder's Revenge on the Nintendo Switch for around about $30 physically, or even less money if you're buying it digitally, and that has been one of the great strengths of the Switch 1, and Nintendo seems to be trying to completely make that impossible to do on the Switch 2, which really hurts me as a developer, but hurts many of the most passionate collectors for Nintendo. But even for AAA games and people who only care about really big games, the key card situation is one that has been a sticking point for many people. Many people hate them. Many people are refusing to buy them, and it's been actively hurting third-party. We've heard statements from people saying that the third-party sales are below even their lowest expectations. And I've talked about this at length and why I think it might be happening and how I think Nintendo should change things and how they could change things. I've offered multiple different solutions using my literal decades of experience in the industry, both as a developer but also as a publisher of physical media and an exporter to retailers around the world. I've had many products that have been sold in supermarkets around the world in multiple countries. So it's not just me as a fan moaning. I actually know what I'm talking about, and I've offered many potential solutions of how Nintendo could get around this issue. But many people in my comments have said things like, yeah, but Nintendo is stubborn and they're not going to do that. And there's, you're just yelling into the wind because they'll do what they want to do and they're not going to change their mind. And I have repeatedly said, no, I think they might. I think that they might realize that they've kind of messed up. They might realize, we thought we could get away with this, but actually this is affecting our bottom line, and third-party developers are not happy, and they're leaving us, and our sales are not good enough, and we're losing out on money that we could be making because we make money every time a third-party game sells. So we need to keep selling third-party games, and we need to keep third parties happy. And our core fans are arguing back, and even people are raising this in shareholder meetings. People are standing up and they're saying things, and it's making us look bad, and we're getting all this negative press. I have repeatedly said in comments replying to comments that people have left that I think there's reason to believe that Nintendo may change their mind and may be open to doing the right thing. And while historically Nintendo have been quite arrogant and quite refusing to change their mind, even if they're shooting themselves in the foot, they're like, no, we've made a decision and we're going to stick to it. Even if it hurts us, even if the public are demanding something different, we're going to do what we want to do. Historically, that's how Nintendo were. But again, I have repeatedly said in recent years, and by recent years, I mean in the last kind of 5 years or so, there have been several times when Nintendo have maybe not bowed to pressure, but at least listened to what fans are talking about online and what things are being most often requested by fans, and they seem a little bit more willing to change their mind or to bend to the will of fans at least a little bit. So I've said repeatedly, I don't want to be all doom and gloom, and I do feel that it's important to be positive and important to say to Nintendo and appeal to them and say, look, this, yeah, I get what you're doing. here's everything that's great about what you're doing, but here's ways that you could improve. I think it's better not to just be super negative and just demonize them and say, oh, they're doing this because they're evil, or they're doing this because they're stupid, or they're doing this because they're greedy. I think it's important to kind of meet them at where they are and say, no, look, you're doing a lot that's good. You're doing a lot that's good, but you did even more that was good with the Switch One, and you've kind of backpedaling and ruining some of that. You don't want to do that. You want to go back to doing what you were doing before. And I've repeatedly said that it's possible to look at all of this with a positive outlook. And because this is a positive episode, we're talking about positive things, it is fitting that at the time when I'm recording this, there are news stories going around that actually back up what I've said might be the case and what I hoped might be the case, because Nintendo have been sending out email questionnaires to their Japanese mailing lists, their Japanese customers. Nintendo have been sending out questionnaires asking their Japanese customers what their opinion is specifically of game key cards. And what can that tell us? What that tells us is they have realized that this is a problem. They've realized this is something that is affecting a lot of their consumers. There's a lot of talk on social media. There's a lot of talk in shareholder meetings. And what they want to know is how many of their base customers actually care about this point. And some people have said, oh, Nintendo don't care about English-speaking companies. Nintendo don't care about Nintendo of America. Nintendo don't care about their American fans, don't care about their European fans. There's no point you making videos in English or episodes in English talking about this, because they don't care. They only care about Japan, and it's up to the rest of the world if they want to buy it or not. They're very arrogant. They only care about Japan. Again, I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think that was true in the past, absolutely. I don't necessarily think that's true now. But I think their kind of new management in the company has a lot more of a worldwide outlook. And actually, some of these decisions that they've been making seemingly have been made because they're almost being inspired by what a lot of Western publishers and Western developers are doing, which is not necessarily good. As I said, some of the tactics that they've been copying have been copying companies like Activision and EA and Ubisoft, which is not what we want Nintendo to do. But yes, Nintendo are always going to prioritize what their Japanese customers think first. Yes, that is true. So yes, these surveys have only gone out to Japanese customers. It's a shame that they haven't gone out to the American and European and the rest of the world customers as well. But here's why that's a good thing. Historically, Japan is the strongest market of physical collectors. Japanese people basically don't buy digital games. They just don't. They like to collect physical media. And it's one reason why PC gaming isn't anywhere near as big in Japan as it is in the rest of the world, because something like Steam just does not appeal to the average Japanese consumer. And Japanese consumers in general don't shop online either. They like to go into physical retailers and buy things and support their local shops. So yeah, asking Japanese people what their opinion on the key cards is a really good sign, because I have a very strong feeling that a large amount of their customers are going to turn around and say, we hate these key cards, stop making the key cards, we want the full game on the physical card, that's what we want to buy, and we're not going to buy the key cards. So I actually think that sending to just Japanese customers, they'll probably get a higher percentage of people who say, no, we don't like keycards. Whereas if they sent out to every single person who's subscribed to the Nintendo of America mailing list, for example, there's probably a lot of casual consumers who are signed up to that mailing list because they want to get the occasional discount code or whatever. and they have no idea what a game keycard is, and they don't really care. I think they'll actually get a higher percentage of people responding negatively if they only email the people on the Japanese mailing list. So for us who aren't in Japan but don't like game keycards, it's actually, I think, a very good thing. So what does it tell us? Does it mean that keycards are going to go away? No, but it does make it extremely likely that they are going to be used less and less, and Nintendo are going to look into, okay, what solutions can we offer to third parties? And as I have laid out in my videos many times, there are multiple options that are open to them that are very easy, that are very cheap, that wouldn't really require any extra investment from them. Just a little change in policy, a little change in contract here, a little change in how you can use the trademarks there, and those solutions are not things which are exclusive to me. I'm sure I didn't come up with these ideas. These are obvious ideas which anybody in the industry could tell you. I'm sure Nintendo knows about them anyway, which is why I've implied in the past that the reason why they didn't use them was essentially arrogance, because they were trying to force things in a particular direction that they wanted. But the fact that they are sending out this email says, oh, maybe we messed up. Maybe we tried to push this direction too far. Maybe we can go in this direction in the future with the Switch 3 or the Switch 4, but right now the public are not buying it. And they realize, and the solutions are obvious, and the solutions are easy. So to me, I would say it's extremely likely that we will start to see more options being offered to third parties to release cheaper cartridges, so they don't have to buy the 64GB cartridge for $17, or reducing the price of the game keycards, but making it easier for people to release multi-plat games, maybe release Switch 1 versions in Switch 2 packaging that make it obvious that it's compatible with both. There's so many different options that they can offer, and all of those options would be better than what we currently have. So yeah, we don't really have any news right now. The only news is they've sent out these questionnaires, but my God, it is such a good sign. It is such a good sign. And frankly, I can't imagine an outcome where the general Japanese public would respond to Nintendo and say, no, we love game keycards. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. That's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And the mere fact that they're sending out the email in the first place tells us that Nintendo are at least open to change. They realize there's a problem. They realize they messed up, and they're looking for solutions. So that is where I'm going to end this episode. But what fantastic news. What a fantastic way to end this positive episode with a positive outcome. This is something that I've talked about at length, and sometimes it felt kind of hopeless. I almost got emotional, not emotional like angry, but emotional like upset at how much Nintendo seemed to be fumbling the bag with third parties in this generation. And it looks like that could be changing. And that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing, and really makes the future of the Switch 2 look a heck of a lot brighter. And obviously, as a Switch 2 game developer, but also as the host of the Daily Switch 2 podcast, I want the future to be rosy for the Nintendo Switch 2. Well, that was funny / sad / informative / stupid, wasn't it? Feel free to mentally redact to make that make sense with the clip that you just heard. I don't know what it was. I'm just recording a bumper. But if you enjoyed the clip, please give it a like. If you'd like to hear more, click subscribe, and you can find all the ways to listen to and support the full daily podcast at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. Let's go! Did I sound like I mean that? I do. I really do.